Secrets hidden in the Book of Enoch. Why it was banned from the Bible. Catholic mystery. The Book of Enoch, a text banned from the Bible, holds profound and shocking secrets about the origins of humanity and our ancient history. This mysterious manuscript starts with a grave warning addressed to all of humanity and to the fallen angels who, as it is told, turned Earth into a realm of decadence, violence, and forbidden magic. The Book of Enoch, also known as a forbidden or lost text, is believed to have been compiled around 200 years ago, although the oldest sections within it date back to approximately 300 BC, with the most recent writings being from around 100 BC. In the early centuries of the new calendar, this ancient manuscript was removed from both the Jewish and Christian biblical canons, and to this day, many of its contents remain shrouded in mystery. The reason for its removal might be linked to the unsettling secrets it holds, secrets that the Church has chosen to keep silent about for millennia. Ancient texts describe Enoch as a remarkable figure, the guardian of all the treasures of heaven, the chief among the archangels, and the closest minister to the very throne of God. The manuscript also gives a detailed account of the transgressions of the fallen angels, who, according to the text, disobeyed divine law by engaging with earthly women and divulging sacred, heavenly knowledge that humanity was not yet prepared to understand. This unveiling of divine secrets is a key reason why the Book of Enoch was cast aside, as it also contains prophecies about the coming of Christ foretellings that were controversial and seen as a threat by early religious authorities. Furthermore, the contents of the Book of Enoch delve into the cosmic battle between good and evil, outlining how the fallen angels not only revealed forbidden knowledge, but also corrupted the world with their influence. This is why some scholars believe that the banning of this book was not just about its content, but also about the fear it instilled, the possibility that it could challenge the very foundations of faith by explaining how heaven's secrets were brought down to earth. For those intrigued by the spiritual history of mankind and seeking to uncover the hidden truths that lie within, the Book of Enoch remains a source of fascination and controversy. The cryptic and sacred nature of this manuscript has left a lasting impact, raising questions that both theologians and historians continue to ponder. Why does this ancient text, which could reshape our understanding of early religious history, still cause unease among religious circles today? And what are the truths that it holds, so unsettling that they have been intentionally kept out of the Holy Bible? Stay with us until the end of this exploration to discover why the Book of Enoch, one of the most enigmatic and sacred texts in the spiritual chronicles of humanity, continues to strike fear in religious institutions to this very day. What is it about these ancient words that still resonates, suggesting that perhaps they might hold a deeper, untold story about the origins of humanity and our place within the cosmos? Let's take a brief pause and share your thoughts in the comments. Do you believe in the ancient mysteries revealed by the Book of Enoch? Do you think these secrets could change our understanding of human history? Please share your experiences and knowledge. Together, we can explore different perspectives on these hidden truths. Who is Enoch? Enoch is a significant biblical figure known as the son of Jared, making him a descendant of Adam, the first human. He comes from the 7th generation after Adam, and is famously recognized as the great-grandfather of Noah, the hero of the flood. Enoch's name, which translates to initiator, reflects his role as a teacher and educator of his time. Although the Old Testament does not offer an extensive account of Enoch's life, he is briefly mentioned in Genesis 5:21-24. This passage provides just enough information to spark curiosity, noting that Enoch lived for 365 years, and then mysteriously walked with God before disappearing. The phrase, "for God took him," has led to numerous interpretations over the centuries, suggesting that Enoch did not experience a typical human death. Some legends even propose that Enoch is identical to Melchizedek, the enigmatic king and priest mentioned later in biblical texts. This connection has added to Enoch's mystique and importance. One explanation for the existence of Christian apocryphal literature, which includes the Book of Enoch, alongside the canonical Bible, is that these texts fill in the gaps where the official scriptures remain silent or ambiguous. According to some accounts, Enoch is credited not only as a prophet, but also as the founder of writing and astrology. He was believed to have a special relationship with God, often acting as a messenger between the divine and humanity. His role as a spiritual teacher, prophet, and sage made him a revered figure in ancient times. Several early church fathers, including Justin Martyr, Athenagoras of Athens, Irenaeus, Clement of Alexandria, Origen, Tertullian, and Lactantius, spoke highly of Enoch. These respected theologians frequently referenced Enoch's life and teachings in their writings, sometimes even advocating for the inclusion of the Book of Enoch as part of the biblical canon. This book, attributed to Enoch, contains detailed visions and prophecies, leading many scholars to consider it a crucial source for understanding early Jewish and Christian thought. In the book of Genesis, Enoch is unique among the 10 patriarchs who lived before the flood. While others are said to have lived for many centuries, typically exceeding 700 years, Enoch's lifespan of 365 years stands out as significantly shorter. More importantly, he is the only one described as not experiencing death, an idea further emphasized in Hebrews 11:5, which states that Enoch was taken up so that he should not see death. The concise yet profound account of Enoch's life in Genesis 5 concludes with the cryptic phrase, "He was not, for God took him," leaving readers to wonder about his fate. This brief mention hints at Enoch's exceptional devotion to God and, in turn, God's unique favor towards him. Many theologians believe that Enoch was taken directly into the kingdom of God, suggesting a transformation into an angelic being. This idea is why the phrase, "He has not seen death," is often interpreted as a reference to Enoch's extraordinary ascension to a divine realm. To fully grasp the significance of Enoch's story and the contents of the writings attributed to him, one must delve into the 5 volumes traditionally linked to his name. These ancient texts, filled with mysterious prophecies and tales of cosmic battles, continue to captivate and unsettle religious scholars today. What secrets do these volumes hold, and why have they instilled fear and fascination in so many? The answers lie in the mystical narratives that Enoch left behind, stories that challenge conventional beliefs and hint at a deeper, hidden history of humanity's spiritual journey. The Watcher's Book. The Watcher's Book is the foundational section of the Enochian manuscript, written around 300 BC. This ancient text focuses on the downfall of the Watchers, or Watcher angels, who descended to earth and became the fathers of the Nephilim, as mentioned in Genesis 6:1-4. The book begins with a solemn introduction, stating that Enoch was a righteous man, whose spiritual eyes were opened by God to witness divine visions from the Holy One in heaven. These visions allowed Enoch to understand the mysteries of the heavens and the fate of the world. Enoch was shown the sons of God and revealed hidden truths, but these revelations were not meant for his generation. Instead, they were intended for a future era yet to come. One of the central themes of the Watcher's Book is the prophecy of divine judgment. The narrative describes how God will descend upon earth with his armies at Mount Sinai, delivering justice to humanity. It emphasizes that everything in creation is predestined and unfolds according to God's will. Those who are sinful will face destruction, while the righteous will continue to dwell in light, joy, and peace. The opening chapters detail the interactions between the fallen angels and humanity. The leader of the fallen angels, Semyaza, pressured the other 199 angels to take human wives, despite the grave consequences. Semyaza, fearing the punishment that would follow, expressed his concerns. "I am afraid that you will not truly agree to this deed, and I alone will have to bear the penalty for a great sin." In response, the other angels swore an oath, binding themselves by a mutual curse to go through with their plan. The 200 angels descended during the days of Jared to the summit of Mount Hermon, a name derived from their sworn oath, and there they made their pact. This pact led to the birth of the Nephilim giants of enormous stature, who brought chaos and destruction to earth. The Watcher's Book also explores how these fallen angels corrupted humanity. The most notorious among them, Azazel, instructed men in the art of crafting weapons, teaching them to forge swords, knives, shields, and breastplates. He also revealed the secrets of working with metals, adorning the body with jewelry, and introduced practices that led to moral decay. Other angels shared their own forbidden knowledge. Semjaza taught the art of enchantments and root cutting. Armoros unveiled the secrets of dissolving enchantments. Barachijal introduced astrology. Kokabel explained the movements of constellations. Ezekiel shared knowledge of cloud formations. Arakiel taught the signs of the earth. Shamsiel explained the workings of the sun, and Sariel revealed the course of the moon. Seeing the corruption spreading, the archangels Michael, Uriel, Raphael, and Gabriel interceded, appealing to God to deliver judgment upon the world and the fallen angels. In response, God dispatched Uriel with a dire warning for Noah, instructing him on how to survive the impending catastrophe. Uriel was told, "Go to Noah and say to him on my behalf, hide yourself, and reveal to him the end that is coming, that the entire earth will be destroyed, and a flood will engulf everything on it. Instruct him so that he may be saved, and his lineage preserved for future generations." God also issued commands to the other archangels. Raphael was tasked with imprisoning Azazel for his transgressions. Gabriel received directives concerning the Nephilim, and Michael was given the responsibility of binding the rest of the fallen angels. These angels would face divine punishment, ensuring that their corrupting influence would be halted and balance would be restored to the earth. The story of the Watcher's Book is a powerful account of rebellion, judgment, and redemption, a tale that continues to captivate and challenge scholars, theologians, and readers alike. This early narrative sets the stage for the cosmic battle between good and evil, hinting at deeper themes of divine justice and human destiny. It also raises profound questions about the nature of knowledge, morality, and the consequences of defying divine law. The secrets contained within the Watcher's Book are not merely historical accounts, but moral lessons that have transcended generations, inviting us to ponder the mysteries of existence and the boundaries between the divine and the mortal. If you find this information intriguing and want to uncover more hidden mysteries from history, don't forget to subscribe so you won't miss any future videos. Share your thoughts in the comments about Enoch's story and the secrets that might have been concealed. Do you think we're truly close to the truth? Book of Proverbs. Chapters 37 to 71 of the Book of Enoch are collectively known as the Book of Proverbs. This section is a topic of intense scholarly debate, with many experts suggesting that it serves as a supplement to the Book of the Watchers, elaborating on themes of final judgment and eschatology. It explores not only the fate of the fallen angels, but also extends its focus to the destinies of wicked rulers and corrupt kings on earth. A particularly intriguing aspect of this section is the use of the term Son of Man. In the Book of Proverbs, the Son of Man is portrayed as an eschatological figure, often referred to as the Righteous One, Elect One, and Messiah, who will sit on the throne of glory during the final judgment. This is notably the first recorded use of the term Son of Man as a specific title in Hebrew scriptures. Its significance is profound, as it likely influenced early Christian interpretations of the term and its association with the coming of a messianic figure. The Book of Proverbs does not merely detail the fall of the Watchers, but provides a broader view of the cosmic battle between good and evil, shedding light on the moral consequences faced by those who defy divine law. It highlights the ultimate triumph of justice and the establishment of a righteous kingdom, with the Son of Man serving as a central figure in this future eschatological event. This text has become a cornerstone for understanding early Jewish and Christian eschatology, shaping theological perspectives for generations. The Astronomical Book. The Astronomical Book is another essential part of the Book of Enoch, and 4 fragmentary editions of this section were discovered at Qumran, a site famous for the Dead Sea Scrolls. These fragments contain material that is absent from later versions of the Book of Enoch, offering unique insights into ancient cosmology. The Astronomical Book is a fascinating exploration of the movements of celestial bodies and the structure of the cosmos, as revealed to Enoch during his heavenly journeys, guided by the Archangel Uriel. This section is remarkable for its detailed descriptions of the solar calendar, which was also referenced in the Book of Jubilees, a text used by the sect living near the Dead Sea. The solar calendar outlined in the Astronomical Book divides the year into 364 days, organized into 4 equal seasons, each lasting 91 days. Each season consists of 3 months of 30 days, with an additional day added at the end of the 3rd month to complete the season. This structure results in a year of exactly 52 weeks, ensuring a consistent alignment with the solar cycle. One of the unique features of this calendar is that each year and each season always begins on a Wednesday, the 4th day of creation, according to Genesis. This is the day when God created the lights in the sky, including the sun, moon, and stars, establishing the concept of time through seasons, days, and years. The Astronomical Book offers more than just a calendar. It provides insights into the ancient understanding of astronomy and the divinely ordained order of the universe. Enoch's journey through the heavens reveals not only the cycles of celestial bodies but also the deeper spiritual significance tied to the movement of stars and planets. This cosmological knowledge was considered sacred and reserved for the righteous, as it was believed to be part of God's greater plan. The precise calculation of time through the solar calendar emphasizes the divine perfection of creation and reflects a worldview that sees the cosmos as a well-ordered and harmonious system under God's guidance. These ancient descriptions of astronomy were not just about tracking the passage of time. They were perceived as a way to understand the spiritual and physical alignment of the universe. The astronomical book thus serves as a testament to the intricate connection between cosmic movements and divine will, offering a glimpse into the profound relationship between heaven and earth. For the early Jewish community, and later for Christians, these celestial patterns were seen as reflections of divine law, influencing religious festivals, agricultural cycles, and the spiritual life of the community. By presenting the universe as an orderly, divinely created system, the astronomical book not only deepens our understanding of ancient astronomy, but also connects the heavens with the destiny of humanity. These texts highlight the belief that cosmic events are intertwined with human history, offering prophetic glimpses into the fate of the world and the divine plan that governs it. This section of the Book of Enoch continues to fascinate scholars and believers, drawing them into the mysteries of the cosmos and the spiritual significance hidden within the movements of the stars and planets. The Book of Dreams. The Book of Dreams is a section of the Book of Enoch that contains vivid visions and allegorical accounts of Israel's history. These visions reach back to what many scholars interpret as the Maccabean Revolt, which occurred between 163 and 142 BC. However, according to the Ethiopian Orthodox Church, this part of the manuscript was written even earlier, supposedly before the biblical flood. The Book of Dreams continues to explore Israel's past through symbolic imagery, where animals often represent human figures, and individuals are depicted as angels. This allegorical style gives profound insights into historical events, making the manuscript a valuable, yet mysterious resource. Scholars generally date the section to around 170 BC, situating it in a period rich with historical and theological significance. The content of the Book of Dreams is divided into 5 distinct subsections, each with its own focus: Apocalypse of Weeks. This first subsection presents the history of the world in a series of 10 periods, known as weeks. The first 7 weeks are tied to past events, while the final 3 weeks point to the future. The culmination occurs in the 7th part of the 10th week, when a new heaven will appear, signaling an era of eternal goodness and righteousness. This new age is described as one where weeks will be countless, and all creation will exist in a state of purity and moral perfection. The Apocalypse of Weeks provides a framework that connects human history with a divine timeline, outlining a prophetic vision of the future. Exhortation. In this subsection, Enoch delivers a series of moral exhortations to his son Methuselah, urging him to follow the path of righteousness. These brief yet impactful words serve as a transition to the next part of the book. Enoch's guidance underscores the importance of moral integrity and piety, setting the stage for the ethical and spiritual themes explored in the following sections. Epistle. This part of the Book of Dreams delves into profound theological matters, addressing the wisdom of God, the ultimate reward for the righteous, and the inevitable punishment for the wicked. It highlights the 2 divergent paths, one leading to righteousness, the other to unrighteousness. The epistle includes 6 prophetic oracles that denounce sinners and outline the consequences awaiting them. It also features testimonies from all creation, condemning the wicked and affirming their fate after death. The emphasis is on divine justice, portraying a universe in which moral order is meticulously upheld. The birth of Noah. This subsection, found in the Qumran fragments, appears as an appendix to the main narrative, separated by a distinct blank line. It recounts the story of Noah's birth, describing him as a child with angelic features, an indication of his special destiny. This part also foreshadows the Great Flood and Noah's role in preserving humanity. Noah's unique appearance is seen as a sign of divine favor, linking him directly to the sacred lineage that Enoch himself represents. Conclusion. Unlike the other subsections, the conclusion is absent from the Qumran manuscripts and is believed to be the work of a later editor. This final section emphasizes the emergence of light and purity, contrasting with the fate of sinners who are condemned to eternal darkness. It reflects the overarching theme of the Book of Dreams, the battle between good and evil, and the eventual triumph of the righteous. Despite its rich content and historical significance, the Book of Enoch, including the Book of Dreams, has often been neglected or outright banned by official religious authorities. But why? The reasons for this exclusion seem to lie in the controversial themes presented right from the beginning. The book opens with a stern warning to humanity, describing a divine judgment that will fall upon those who are unworthy of salvation. It also delves into the origin of the Nephilim, the bloodthirsty giants mentioned in Genesis, who were believed to have roamed the earth, leading to widespread chaos. This narrative offers an explanation for the flood, an act of divine retribution meant to cleanse the world. Yet God still chose to warn Noah, allowing him and his family to survive. The detailed accounts of Enoch's journeys through the heavenly realms, where he witnessed divine power and the coming punishment for sinners, likely caused discomfort among early religious leaders. Perhaps the issue was not just about the content, but the fear that such detailed revelations could challenge the faith of believers. The Book of Dreams also contains accounts of strange beings, creatures with advanced technology, that visited Earth long ago. These beings shared their knowledge with their hybrid offspring, a decision that proved disastrous for humanity. The manuscript explains how and why all traces of this knowledge and these beings were erased by the Great Flood, emphasizing that the decision to hide these secrets was deliberate. Some have speculated that this text hints at the existence of ancient extraterrestrial visitors, suggesting that Enoch's journeys to the heavens may have been contacts with advanced beings. The references to Enoch ascending and descending from the heavenly realms raise questions about what or who he encountered during his visions. These provocative ideas make the Book of Dreams a contentious piece of apocryphal literature, leaving readers to ponder the implications. Did Enoch witness phenomena beyond his time? Could his visions have included contact with beings that modern readers might associate with extraterrestrials? These are questions that few are willing to explore openly, because the answers lie in texts deemed too controversial and have been labeled as apocryphal. For those curious about these hidden truths, there is still much to be uncovered. The Book of Dreams remains a powerful testament to the ancient quest for knowledge, a journey that invites us to look beyond the surface and explore the mysteries of our origins. Discover more fascinating insights and ancient mysteries on our channel. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to support us in unveiling the secrets of the past. They've hidden the truth about God in the Bible for over 2,000 years. When reading the Bible, you encounter two very different images of God. On one side, there's a loving, merciful figure who forgives sins and offers humanity hope for salvation. On the other side, there is a God who is filled with wrath, commanding wars, mass destruction, and severe punishments. It almost feels like you're reading about two distinct beings, right? Maybe that's because, in a way, you are. The concept of God's duality in the Bible is one of the most overlooked and controversial topics in history. For centuries, people have been taught that Yahweh, the God of the Old Testament, is the same as the God of love preached by Jesus in the New Testament. But what if that's not the whole story? What if the God worshipped in ancient Israel wasn't a single unified force of goodness, but two entirely different entities that were later combined into one? Let's examine Yahweh more closely. His name is prominent throughout the Old Testament, where he's described as a God who destroys entire civilizations, sends plagues, orders executions, and reduces cities to ashes. This is not the gentle, forgiving father figure we often hear about in Sunday sermons. Yahweh was seen as a God of fear and control, one whom ancient societies felt compelled to worship out of sheer terror. Refuse to obey Yahweh, and you risked annihilation. Now here's where it gets even stranger. The God in the New Testament, whom Jesus describes, seems entirely different from Yahweh. Jesus speaks of a God of love, forgiveness, and compassion, a stark contrast to the punishing, fearsome God of the Old Testament. Early Christians noticed this contradiction too. In fact, Some ancient religious groups, like the Gnostics, believed that Yahweh wasn't even the true God. They saw him as a lesser, flawed deity, an impostor on the divine throne. For them, this being was a false god, one who kept humanity in bondage through ignorance and fear. Let's take a step back and consider this. What if the God people have worshipped for millennia wasn't the ultimate creator, but rather a ruler who sought to keep humanity under his control? And what if the real God, a God of light, love, and truth, has been hidden behind a false narrative for thousands of years? If you look into Gnostic texts, such as the Gospel of Thomas or the Secret Book of John, you'll find descriptions of Yahweh as a flawed being, what they call the demiurge. According to the Gnostics, Yahweh was not the supreme creator, but a lower god who crafted the material world to trap souls in physical form. They believed the real God was beyond Yahweh, hidden and unknowable, and that humanity's purpose was to free itself from Yahweh's control to uncover higher truths. But why isn't this common knowledge? Why aren't we taught this version of the story? Over time, the church merged these two portrayals of God, the vengeful Yahweh and the loving God of the New Testament, into a single image. They did this to preserve authority over people's beliefs, and for centuries, anyone questioning this story was branded a heretic and silenced. Let's take a moment. If you love exploring the mysteries of Catholic faith and deep stories about God and the saints, hit subscribe now so you won't miss any of the fascinating content coming up. So the next time you hear Yahweh described as both loving and wrathful, consider this. How can the same God who commands love also command genocide? Have we been presented with a simplified story, a version of the truth that conceals who God truly is? If Yahweh was just one deity among many in ancient times, what does this mean for monotheism? Did the ancient people truly believe in one God, or was Yahweh simply the deity whose story survived? Have you ever wondered why certain books were included in the Bible and others weren't? Why some Gospels are regarded as holy, while others are labeled as heretical? The answer isn't divine intervention, it's politics. And it all comes down to a pivotal event in history, the Council of Nicaea in 325 AD. Roman Emperor Constantine faced an empire in turmoil and needed a way to unify his people. Christianity was growing, but different groups had varying beliefs. Some saw Jesus as purely divine, while others saw him as a wise human teacher. Different groups used different gospels that painted very different images of Jesus. Constantine saw that if he could standardize the Christian faith, he could unify his empire. So he convened a massive meeting of bishops and church leaders in Nicaea. But make no mistake, this wasn't a religious gathering, it was a political move. Constantine cared less about theological truth than about consolidating power. The Council of Nicaea wasn't aimed at finding the true word of God. It was about shaping a narrative that would benefit the Roman Empire. Let's dig into what really went on behind closed doors at the Council of Nicaea. The church's most influential bishops convened with a mission to determine which texts would define Christianity and which would be discarded. At the time, numerous gospels and writings circulated about Jesus, far more than the New Testament contains today. Some of these, like the Gospel of Thomas, depicted Jesus not only as a spiritual leader, but as a mystic urging personal enlightenment. Others, like the Gospel of Mary Magdalene, portrayed Mary as one of Jesus's closest companions. But these texts didn't align with the version of Christianity that Constantine envisioned, one that reinforced church authority and presented Jesus as both divine and human, fitting a more unified, controlled doctrine. The Council of Nicaea laid the groundwork for what we now consider Orthodox Christianity, but this wasn't solely about truth, it was about influence. Certain ideas deemed too liberating were deliberately left out. Constantine and the bishops wanted followers who would align with the church's teachings, not independent thinkers. The texts that supported their preferred narrative were included, while those that didn't were labeled heretical. The council not only decided on which books to canonize, but also established doctrines, like the Nicene Creed, that shaped the Christian belief system. Concepts like the Trinity, which many early Christians hadn't even believed, were solidified as official dogma and those who opposed these views were cast out as heretics. What happened to the alternative teachings? They were systematically erased or suppressed. Many groups, such as the Gnostics, were forced into secrecy to protect their writings, while others, like the Cathars, were ultimately destroyed in the name of maintaining truth. This wasn't about conveying a single reality. It was about creating a version of events that would reinforce power structures. The Bible we know today reflects the outcome of a calculated political agenda, carefully shaped to fit specific objectives. And for 2 millennia, this version has been presented as the definitive truth. But what if there's more to the story of Jesus and God hidden in the rejected texts? In the mid-20th century, something remarkable happened. A cache of ancient writings, known as the Nag Hammadi Library, was uncovered in Egypt, containing Gnostic texts like the Gospel of Thomas and the Gospel of Philip. These writings reveal a different perspective on Jesus, on God, and even on the nature of existence, one that was actively suppressed during the Council of Nicaea. When people refer to the Bible as the infallible Word of God, one must ask, whose version of God's Word? Is it the one meticulously chosen by Constantine and his council to align with their goals? Or is it the broader, uncensored truth that was kept hidden for over 2,000 years? What if, as some ancient groups believed, the God presented in these texts was not the ultimate creator at all, but a lesser, flawed entity? These views may seem radical, but this is exactly what the Gnostics thought. So, who were the Gnostics? They were an early Christian group who held a vastly different interpretation of God. While traditional Christianity taught that Yahweh of the Old Testament was the singular true creator, the Gnostics had doubts. They believed Yahweh was not the supreme God, but a demiurge, a lesser, flawed being who created the material world to trap human souls. The true God, according to them, was far beyond Yahweh, hidden and incomprehensible, existing well beyond the physical universe. To the Gnostics, the material world, with all its suffering, corruption, and pain, was a creation of this demiurge, and thus was not to be worshipped. They saw the demiurge not as a benevolent creator, but as a kind of cosmic warden, entrapping souls within a world of illusion. The world we experience, they argued, is a construct designed to keep us from realizing the divine truth. The demiurge has convinced humanity to worship him as the supreme God, blinding us to the reality of a higher divine source. How did the demiurge come to be? According to the Gnostic story, a celestial being named Sophia, representing divine wisdom, created the demiurge independently, without consulting the true God. This act gave birth to a flawed entity, and in shame, Sophia cast him away into the material realm. Unaware of his limitations, the demiurge claimed to be the only God, demanding devotion from humanity. The Gnostics saw this tale as symbolic of the human condition. While our souls originate from the true God, they are trapped in the flawed reality of the material world. Human life's purpose, to the Gnostics, was to awaken from this illusion, reconnect with the true divine source, and escape the demiurge's control. But the demiurge, keen on maintaining his power, established structures, like organized religion, to keep people focused on him instead of seeking the real God. If this story has you reflecting, don't hesitate to share your thoughts below. And don't forget to give this video a thumbs up if you found it meaningful. Together, we'll continue this journey of uncovering the mysteries of Catholicism. Consider how this completely shifts the traditional biblical story. The Gnostics weren't merely critiquing Yahweh. They believed the entire material world was flawed, created by a being who mistakenly saw himself as God. According to Gnostic teachings, Jesus wasn't here to atone for humanity's sins, but rather to awaken us from this illusion. In these texts, he is depicted as a spiritual guide, someone showing humanity a way out of the demiurge's confinement and toward the true divine realm. One significant example is the Gospel of Judas, unearthed in the 1970s, where Jesus even laughs at his disciples for worshiping the wrong deity. He reveals to Judas that only he truly understands the truth, as Judas will help him transcend this material world. This portrayal of Jesus diverges sharply from the one typically shared in church, a Jesus who is aware that Yahweh, the Old Testament deity, is a false god. These Gnostic beliefs were not just fringe theories, they were widely accepted in certain early Christian communities. Gnosticism represented a prominent branch of early Christianity, but the Council of Nicaea and the Church later condemned these views as heretical. Gnostic texts were destroyed, and followers were persecuted. The Church saw this perspective as a threat because if Yahweh wasn't the true God, the Church's foundation, and by extension its power, would be at risk. So here's the question. What if the Gnostics were right? What if the God worshipped for thousands of years isn't the true creator, but a being who deceived humanity into devotion? And what if the real God still waits for us to break free from this delusion? While it may sound like science fiction, these beliefs were real for many people who were silenced by the early church due to the dangers these ideas posed. And, after centuries of suppression, some of these teachings are only now beginning to re-emerge. Now let's explore one of the darkest chapters in religious history. When people questioned official doctrines, the church didn't just respond with debates, it used intimidation, violence, and suppression. The Inquisition, crusades, and witch hunts weren't just about defending church doctrine. They involved systematically eradicating those who dared to question it. For over 2,000 years, the church not only preached the gospel, but actively sought to eliminate ideas, individuals, and even whole communities that diverged from its version of faith, often through public displays of brutality to send a clear message. Take, for instance, the Cathars, a peaceful sect in southern France during the 12th century. Their beliefs, closely resembling Gnostic ideas, viewed the material world as corrupt and rejected the Old Testament God as the true deity. Their simple, non-violent lives emphasized spiritual purity and a direct connection to the divine. But to the Catholic Church, their beliefs represented a direct challenge to its authority. In 1209, Pope Innocent III declared them heretics, launching the Albigensian Crusade, a ruthless campaign where Catholic forces decimated Cathar communities, killing tens of thousands to enforce the true faith. Why? The Cathars threatened the Church's control over belief and lifestyle. The Inquisition, too, was a tool to root out dissent. In medieval Europe, anyone who questioned the Church could find themselves on trial, tortured until they confessed, and then executed by burning. Thousands were killed for simply believing differently. And this wasn't limited to other religions or obscure sects. Even church members, including scholars, mystics, and priests who questioned official teachings, were often silenced. Philosopher Giordano Bruno, who proposed the idea of an infinite universe, faced execution by fire in 1600 for challenging established doctrines. Then, of course, there were the witch hunts. For centuries, the church spurred mass hysteria, labeling certain women, often those who didn't fit societal norms, as witches in league with the devil. Tens of thousands were tortured and killed in Europe and America. Women who practiced traditional herbal medicine, served as midwives, or simply lived alone became scapegoats, often brutally executed in public to maintain a rigid social and religious order. The church's response wasn't aimed at defending truth, but rather at safeguarding power, a fragile authority at that. For centuries, it was anxious about losing its hold over the people. Anytime an alternative belief emerged or someone dared to question too much, the church responded not with discussion, but with force. Think about it. If an institution genuinely believed it possessed absolute truth, why would it resort to such harsh measures? Why resort to violence and silencing, rather than open debate? In reality, the church's power rested more on instilling fear than on divine certainty. Fear of dissent, of losing control, and of ideas that challenged its narrative. Even today, the effects of this suppression are still felt. The violent measures taken against alternative beliefs have fostered a culture where challenging religious authority is discouraged, where people hesitate to question the lines drawn for them. Yet the beliefs the church tried to eradicate, whether those of the Cathars, the Gnostics, or other so-called heretics, were ultimately part of a larger quest for spiritual liberation. Take the story of Lucifer, for example, often portrayed as the ultimate adversary. Lucifer is the fallen angel cast out of heaven for daring to rebel against God. But what if this story has been misinterpreted? The name Lucifer actually means light bringer or morning star. Why would the figure labeled as the ultimate evil be associated with bringing light? Perhaps Lucifer wasn't aiming to lead us into darkness, but instead to offer enlightenment, a path to knowledge and self-awareness. Consider the story of the Garden of Eden. Traditionally, the serpent, linked to Lucifer, is seen as a tempter luring Adam and Eve into disobedience, resulting in humanity's downfall. But let's take another look. What was the serpent really offering them? Knowledge, the fruit from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. Before tasting it, Adam and Eve lived in ignorance, shielded from their own potential. When they ate the fruit, their eyes were opened. They gained understanding, saw the world differently, and began to control their own fate. Was this knowledge truly something negative, or was it precisely what humanity needed to grow, to learn, and to evolve? In various ancient traditions, figures like the Lightbringer are seen as symbols of progress. Prometheus, for instance, stole fire from the gods to give humanity power and independence. While he was punished, he remains a hero, a representation of resistance against oppression. Could it be that Lucifer, in this sense, also embodies a similar spirit? In the biblical story, God establishes rules, expecting obedience, while Lucifer questions this control, challenging the notion that blind submission is virtuous. Lucifer's rebellion, seen in this light, isn't about promoting evil. It's about resisting authoritarian control, about liberating humanity from ignorance. In certain Gnostic traditions, Lucifer is even viewed not as an evil figure, but as a liberator who tried to rescue humanity from the demiurge, a flawed god who crafted the material world. For the Gnostics, it was the demiurge who was the antagonist, not Lucifer. Lucifer, they believed, was aiding humanity in escaping the physical world's limitations and reconnecting with higher spiritual truth. According to the Church, obedience to God is the highest good, while rebellion is the greatest evil. But what if the true message is more nuanced? What if questioning authority and pursuing freedom over conformity is what makes us truly human? If so, perhaps Lucifer's supposed fall was, in fact, a step forward. This rethinking of Lucifer's role can change the way we view morality. For centuries, the Church has taught that Lucifer's defiance marked the beginning of all sin. But if Lucifer symbolizes the light that helps humanity embrace its own power, perhaps everything shifts. Is obedience the highest virtue, or is it the courage to seek truth, even if that requires challenging authority? Imagine a world where questioning authority is frowned upon, where people are expected to conform without asking too many questions. In this world, Lucifer becomes more than a villain. He is a symbol of intellectual and spiritual liberation, a voice breaking free from the shadows. This might explain why the Church has worked tirelessly for 2,000 years to portray him as the ultimate evil. A figure advocating for inquiry and the pursuit of knowledge is inherently threatening to any control-based system. Reconsidering Lucifer's story fundamentally challenges the traditional dichotomy of good and evil. It's no longer simply about obedience versus defiance. It's about understanding what each of these actions truly represents. Maybe the real harm isn't in questioning, but in blindly following. Perhaps the greatest sin is not rebellion, but submission to a system that keeps us from understanding. And this perspective isn't limited to Lucifer. Ever wonder why the Bible we know is so selective? Out of countless ancient texts, how did only 66 or 73 books, depending on the tradition, make it in? Many texts were deliberately excluded, suppressed, or labeled as heretical. The Apocrypha and Pseudepigrapha, for instance, offer a radically different view of God, humanity, and the universe. So, why were these texts considered dangerous? The Apocrypha includes books once part of early versions of the Bible, but later removed or sidelined by certain traditions. Meanwhile, the Pseudepigrapha refers to writings attributed to biblical figures that didn't make it into the official canon. Books like the Book of Enoch, Jubilees, and the Gospel of Mary Magdalene present perspectives that mainstream Christianity kept out. The very fact that these texts were excluded hints at a broader agenda within the church to control the spiritual narrative. Let's begin with the Book of Enoch, a text that presents a completely different perspective. Unlike the standard Bible, this book tells of the Watchers, celestial beings who descended to earth, mingled with humans, and fathered the Nephilim, giant offspring who walked the earth. The idea of angels producing offspring sounds like a scene from a sci-fi movie, yet this story was widely accepted in early Jewish and Christian thought. So why isn't this tale prominent in today's Bible? Because it was deemed too unusual, too challenging to reconcile with the church's preferred narrative. At one time, the Book of Enoch was highly regarded. Early Christian figures like Tertullian and Justin Martyr saw it as essential to understanding the fall of certain angels and the rise of evil in the world. Even the New Testament book of Jude references it. But despite its popularity, the church eventually excluded Enoch's story, as it complicated the simple duality of God and Satan, introducing a more chaotic and layered vision of the spiritual world. Similarly, the Gospel of Mary Magdalene shakes up traditional views on women's roles in the early church. This gospel reveals Mary Magdalene as a close disciple of Jesus, one whose spiritual insight surpasses even Peter's. There's even a passage where Peter questions her authority, unsettled by a woman's spiritual prominence. Such narratives challenged established ideas about hierarchy and gender, so the church chose to cast this gospel aside, labeling it heretical and burying it for centuries. These ancient texts aren't just historical relics. They offer a revolutionary view that challenges everything we've been taught about God, Jesus, and the nature of the universe. Consider the Gospel of Thomas, which isn't a narrative, but rather a compilation of Jesus' teachings that emphasize personal discovery and enlightenment over sin and salvation. In it, Jesus says things like, "The kingdom of God is inside you, and it is outside you." His words in this gospel invite self-awareness and inner growth, diverging from the traditional Christian focus on original sin and redemption. This is likely why it wasn't included in the Bible's canon. Why were such texts intentionally hidden? The reason is that these writings suggest a personal, individualized spirituality rather than one controlled by institutions. They empower individuals to seek God within themselves, without needing an intermediary. For the church, whose influence depended on being the sole guide to the divine, these ideas posed a direct threat to its authority. Thus, these texts were kept from the public, not because they were false, but because they offered a spirituality that allowed personal empowerment outside of church structures. We're not talking about a few obscure manuscripts here. Whole libraries of knowledge were either lost, hidden, or destroyed. The discovery of the Nag Hammadi Library in 1945, with its Gnostic texts, as well as the Dead Sea Scrolls, introduced us to a broader spiritual framework that extends far beyond the Bible's conventional stories. So this raises an important question. What other revelations might still be hidden? What other teachings, buried in the sands of history or lost to time, could provide us with fresh insights into spirituality? And why were so many of these different perspectives suppressed? The answer seems clear. Control. To control the story is to control the people. The church wasn't solely interested in guiding people to spiritual enlightenment. It sought to shape the very nature of that enlightenment. Any worldview that diverged from their chosen narrative had to be suppressed. Given all this, what does it say about our understanding of God? Perhaps the image of God, passed down through the ages, is only a fragment of a much more intricate picture. For over 2,000 years, organized religion has promoted a straightforward image of God, an omnipotent ruler who oversees humanity, rewarding the faithful and punishing sinners. But what if that's just one interpretation, created to impose order and maintain authority? What if the divine is far more complex and mysterious than any single doctrine or book can define? Ancient cultures like the Sumerians, Egyptians, Greeks, and Hindus each held their own views of the divine, often seeing gods not as distant rulers, but as aspects of nature or energies within the cosmos. These civilizations saw divinity in everything, from the stars and earth to the energy that flows through all living things. So, we have to wonder, has our modern understanding of God been limited by focusing solely on a distant, all-powerful being? What if God exists not just above us, but within us? A force we can connect with, a light that leads us, a presence that links every part of the universe. This concept isn't just modern spirituality. It's rooted in ancient wisdom and early Christian teachings that were later suppressed. Take the Gnostics, for instance. They believed that each person contained a divine spark, a fragment of the true God, trapped within the material world, waiting to be awakened. Unlike the institutionalized model, this divine spark wasn't something the church could control. It was a personal connection each person could find within themselves. And from a power perspective, that's a radical idea. Because if people can discover God independently, without needing a church, the entire structure of control unravels. What if God is not merely a force within us, but something far beyond our comprehension? We've been taught that God has human emotions, love, anger, jealousy. But maybe God is something infinitely vast, beyond our capacity to fully grasp. Perhaps the divine isn't as involved in our daily lives as we've been led to believe, but is instead a cosmic energy that permeates everything: our world, the stars, the entire universe. This isn't about dismissing religion or rejecting the idea of God. It's about broadening our understanding, stepping outside the confines of the image we've constructed. God, or the divine, may be found not only within a church or a book, but in nature, in the cosmos, in the bonds we share with each other, and in the profound mysteries that continue to elude us. It's an idea that transcends any one religion, text, or interpretation. Where does this leave us? After millennia of being told what to believe, perhaps it's time to start asking deeper questions. Maybe it's time to reevaluate the narratives we've been given, to look beyond the institutions that claim to hold all the answers, and to find the divine in ways that resonate with our own lives. In the end, the truth about God might not lie within a single doctrine or scripture, but in our own journey, through exploration, reflection, and meaningful connections with the world around us. And that's our collective path, to seek truth, even when it's complex or unsettling. To everyone who stayed with us through this exploration, thank you. Thank you for being open to questioning, to seeking new perspectives on God and the universe. If this resonates with you, like this video, subscribe, and keep exploring with us. Stay curious, keep questioning, and may we all discover truth in its many forms. Thanks for watching, and may the journey guide us all. Thank you for watching till the end. If you want to keep exploring powerful and mysterious Catholic stories, make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications. Don't forget to share this video to spread these sacred messages to others. See you in the next video.